Okay, let's talk about ransomware. It's one of the scariest threats out there, this invisible enemy that can literally shut down businesses, hospitals, you name it. So the big question is, how in the world do you fight back against something you can't even see coming? Well, the answer isn't just, building bigger walls. It's about getting a whole lot smarter. And really, that is the question in cybersecurity right now. It's not about building higher walls anymore, because the game has completely changed. These days, it's all about intelligence. It's about learning to see the unseen. Right. And that's the whole point, isn't it? To stop an attacker, you have to get inside their head. You've got to think like them. You need to know who they are, how they work, and what little breadcrumbs they leave behind. And that's the world of cyber threat intelligence, or CTI for short. It's all about taking that raw data about threats and turning it into something you can actually use to defend yourself. So CTI isn't just one big thing. It's actually broken down into 3 different levels. We're going to start at the very top with what's called strategic intelligence. This is the big picture, right? The 30,000-foot view of the whole battlefield. It's all about answering 2 simple questions: who and why. You can think of this as the kind of briefing a general gets before a battle. We're not talking about lines of code here. We're talking about the enemy's motivations, their goals. Are they just in it for the money? Are they targeting a specific industry? This is the stuff a CISO, that's the Chief Information Security Officer, needs to know. It helps them decide where to put the money and how to shape the entire company's security game plan. Now, check this out, because this is fascinating. This is literally from the Black Matter ransomware group's own website. Believe it or not, they have a formal set of rules. They state right there in black and white that they will not attack hospitals, critical infrastructure, or nonprofits. It's wild, right? They basically operate like a business, just, a very twisted one with a strange code of ethics. But then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have groups like Hive. This screenshot, it's from their leak site. And yep, that's a healthcare provider they went after. Hive has no code of conduct like that. In fact, they actively go after healthcare, probably because they know that the pressure to save lives means these organizations are way more likely to pay up. And this is exactly why strategic intelligence is so critical. Are you up against Black Matter or are you up against Hive? The answer completely changes how you defend yourself. Okay, so once you have a good idea of who might be coming after you, the next logical question is, how are they going to do it? So let's peel back another layer and move to the second level of intelligence, operational intelligence. This is all about the how and the where. Now, this is the intel for your boots-on-the-ground defenders. It's basically the bad guys' playbook. It gets into the nitty-gritty of their tactics, techniques, and procedures. You'll hear that called TTPs. This is the knowledge that lets your security team know exactly what to look for, how to spot an attack while it's actually happening. And the gold standard for mapping all this stuff out is the MIT attack framework. The easiest way to think about it is like a bank robbery. The tactic is the main goal, get the money. The technique is how they're going to achieve that goal, like crack the safe. And the procedure, that's the super specific detail, use a stethoscope 3000 to listen to the tumblers. Okay, so let's apply that to our friends in the Hive ransomware group. So first things first, they need to get in the door. And just as important, they need a way to stick around. What Hive often does is use legitimate, everyday remote admin tools, like ConnectWise. And that's pretty clever, because by using a tool that's supposed to be there, they can blend right in with normal IT traffic. It makes them way harder to spot. Okay, so once they're inside, they need to get the keys to the kingdom. A really common technique is to go after a core Windows process called LSAS. You can pretty much think of LSAS as the system's built-in password manager. It handles all the user logins, so by just copying what's in its memory, attackers can often pull out valid usernames and passwords. And just like that, they've got access to everything. And for their final act, after they've planted the ransomware and it's ready to go, they try to cover their tracks. This little batch file that Hive uses, it does exactly that. It just waits 1 second, deletes the malware file it came from, and then deletes itself. Poof, gone. It's a super simple but really effective little cleanup script. And when you put all those pieces together, you get this. This is basically the Hive group's entire playbook, all mapped out. See how it connects their known behaviors directly to that MITRE attack framework? You can see everything from how they run commands, to how they hide from defenses, to how they grab passwords. For Security Pro, a threat hunter, this is a literal treasure map. It shows them exactly where to dig to find signs of a Hive attack. All right, that brings us to our third and final level where we get super granular. We've covered the who and the why, the how and the where. Now we're zooming all the way in to the what. And this is called tactical intelligence. Tactical intelligence is all about the specific, concrete stuff left behind after an attack. These are called indicators of compromise, or IOCs for short. And you should really think of them as the digital equivalent of fingerprints or DNA at a crime scene. It's pure evidence. But here's the key. This intelligence isn't really for humans. It's designed for our machines, our firewalls, our antivirus software, so they can spot and block these things automatically. So what are we talking about here? The most common IOCs are things like shady IP addresses, malicious domain names, and something called file hashes. Now, a file hash is basically a unique digital fingerprint for any file. It's generated from the file's contents, and it's incredibly sensitive. Like, if you change just one single comma in a 1,000-page novel, that fingerprint would change completely. So it's a perfect way to identify a very specific piece of malware. So what does one of these digital fingerprints actually look like? Well, it looks like this. Yeah, I know. To you and me, that's just a random jumble of letters and numbers. It's meaningless. But to a security tool, that SHA-1 hash is a bright, flashing red light. It's a unique ID for a known piece of malware, a totally clear signal that says, hey, this file is bad news. And now for the magic trick. Watch what happens when we take that exact string of characters and plug it into a public tool like VirusTotal. Boom, a direct hit. That digital fingerprint is a confirmed match for Hive ransomware. You can see it's been flagged as malicious by dozens of different security companies. That right there is tactical intelligence in its purest form. It's one little piece of data that completely unmasks a major threat. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, you can see that cyber threat intelligence isn't just one thing, right? It's a defense built in layers. It really all boils down to this. You've got strategic intelligence, the who and why, which guides your overall strategy. Then you've got operational intelligence, the how and where, which helps out your human defenders on the front lines. And finally, you have tactical intelligence, the what, which you feed to your automated tools. You absolutely need all three of these layers working together to have a solid defense. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty important question to think about. In this never-ending cat-and-mouse game of cybersecurity, it's just not enough to keep building stronger walls. You have to truly understand your opponent. So ask yourself, are you just building walls, or are you actually learning to think like the person on the other side? Because that answer, well, it could make all the difference in the world.